Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are back here talking Call of Duty. I know, crazy surprise, right? But we're focusing in on, well, the servers. And if you're an active viewer here on the channel, probably not a new topic here. We've talked about this probably a dozen times in the past couple of months alone because honestly, and I've said this before, Call of Duty is Call of Duty. They are one of the absolute largest gaming franchises on this planet, one of the biggest names in all of gaming, and yet the servers for this game are constantly being called out for their lack of performance. And the past couple of weeks, as you are all probably well aware if you're watching this video, they have been potentially worse than ever. They are certainly up there with some of the worst performing servers that we've had in COD history, just based on the past couple of weeks alone. And the fact that this is such a common topic, something we are talking about week after week after week, season after season, game after game, it's just kind of ridiculous. And today I want to talk more on the servers because we have some updates, not ones you're going to fully enjoy, but we've got some updates. And again, I want to shine light on larger issues here in hopes that ideally the platform that you guys have allowed me to have can have a positive impact on the game. So you may recall Season 4 Reloaded dropped back on the 26th of June, I believe it was. And let's not kid ourselves. The servers before Season 4 Reloaded were not good because they haven't been in forever, really, but they weren't as bad as they are now. And when the update dropped on the 26th, we saw several updates and posts from COD Updates, who's always the transparent option for communication, providing context of what issues they're looking into, what bugs they're trying to fix, other updates that have dropped and whatnot. And they've posted about several things. You know, the day of the update going out, there were issues with heads-up display and challenges, problems with the mutation mode. They got fixes out for these within a day or so. It wasn't until several days later that they actually acknowledged an issue that really spiked up with Season 4 Reloaded, and that is just degraded performance across the board. Now, here's what's interesting is that they do go in and say, hey, we're investigating reports of degraded performance on Xbox platforms following the Season 4 Reloaded update. And I do want to make a point. Yes, on Xbox, like genuinely, the game is almost borderline unplayable in certain lobbies because the stutters and the hitches, and you're basically like freezing in time. It's that bad that the game is just, you can't play a match. You have to back out and re-queue and hope you get into a better server or hope you get into a better lobby. And if not, well, there's other games, I guess, or outside is nice too. There's things to do, right? But it's insane how bad it is on Xbox, but that's not to say it's just fine elsewhere, because it's not. Season 4 Reloaded absolutely degraded the performance across the board. It's bad on PC. I've had nights where every single game it seems like there's some kind of stutter in the middle of a match, and we just kind of have to hope it goes away, or everyone goes slow-mo, or the packet loss is, you know, through the roof. It's ridiculous. Same deal on PlayStation as well. So while Xbox does have some specific really bad problems still going on right now, it is a global thing. It is a global issue. And keep in mind, this was addressed back on July 1st. Now, in the time since then, we actually saw some patch notes drop. We saw a July 2nd update where there was no mention of any server stability fixes or anything going on there. So that was a bummer. There were actually server issues specifically with Xbox Live that Xbox was looking into and had to update, and those got fixed, but nothing specifically for Call of Duty was updated. We go through, we had issues with the get higher camos. Those were not unlocking, and you know, me just as much as anyone was very much so looking forward to jumping in to get higher and getting those camos. But I also understand it's like, hey, when you have things like that drop and it's a new update while you're in the midst of having severe server issues, it's not a great look when the day that update goes out, you're like, hey, we're looking into this, and then just a couple of days later they fix it. 24 hours later they fix it. I understand that certain things just outright are easier to fix than others. For instance, the find a party issue. This has been ongoing for like a month plus, and it was ongoing for so long that they just completely removed the feature from the game because they didn't want players accidentally trying to use it when it wasn't working. So they just said, hey, we're taking it out while we work on a fix. Once they do fix it, it'll be back in the game. Clearly, there's some larger underlying issue with the find a party feature that they just can't resolve, on the stable live servers. So it's just out of the game, right? But clearly that's something that, like, face value, it's like, hey, that should be a pretty easy fix, right? Like, why is this taking a month? I'm pretty ignorant to game dev, I couldn't tell you, but it is rough when we have certain things like that, or certain things like the servers that are so broken, but then, hey, these camos in our pay-to-play premium experience, they got fixed in 24 hours. I understand it was probably a much easier fix here, and that's not really the point. The point is that it just doesn't look great from maybe a more ignorant standpoint. Anyways, those updates went out. We had a service disruption where players were being reset back to level 1 accidentally for like an hour. You didn't lose anything. Nothing bad happened because of that. It was just a server outage, but they fixed that, but no stability updates for the servers. We saw even more patch notes drop. No mention of server stability, no mention of server updates, anything like that. We saw things go live for some glitches going on in Warzone. It wasn't until a couple of hours ago at the time that I'm recording this video that we finally got another mention of servers. So 10 days later almost from the initial day that it was first posted about, well beyond that from when this first started happening, obviously with Season 4 Reloaded, our teams have been investigating increased reports of lag and or packet loss issues as indicated on the in-game widget. I want to talk about that in a second. While some mitigations have already been deployed, so they're saying they've actually put out some server updates, but would have been nice to know that those were happening, I think. We remain committed to continued improvement. Stay tuned for further updates. So, for one, apparently there have been updates. I don't think they've been that impactful considering the extreme amount of comments and replies that I'm constantly seeing on my videos, on just general social media platforms. Still very much so ongoing. You can tell by the ratio of replies to likes and everything on this. Everyone is saying it's not fixed, man. But as indicated on the in-game widget, so they're saying that when you're having these issues in-game, it's always going to say you're on crazy ping or you have crazy packet loss. I can't count how many times I've been in a game where it says I have 40 ping and no packet loss, and then halfway through, I'm trying to run through Rebirth Island, I'm in prison, and I'm frozen in time, or I'm in slow motion, or I'm just skipping 12 steps ahead every 14 seconds, right? Where the server is clearly not working, yet they say, hey, it'll be saying on the in-game widget when it's broken, like you'll be able to clearly tell when it's happening and why it's happening, but that's not the case. Also, some players don't have those things turned on, so they wouldn't know otherwise. But the fact that it took almost 2 weeks to get an actual deployment that was referenced for fixes here, but then all that time in between was just silence, I think is one of the more frustrating parts of this. I get if a game is having server issues. I don't think it's excusable for COD because of just how much money they make, how big of a game this is. I've said this before, there is zero reason COD does not have phenomenal servers with the funds that this game is able to put into its own development, right? That's just my 2 cents there, and that'll be my stance until it changes. But I get if a game is having like random issues after an update. So many live service games have issues like this. The lack of transparency, while it is such a severe and such a distinct and obvious issue though, getting almost a 10-day break in between updates, I think that's really rough, and again, not a good look whatsoever. And when you go and look at the Trello boards, if you were looking at these instead of like their Twitter, for instance, you wouldn't see much about it because we're on the Warzone Trello board here, and while they've got several issues updated, nothing in specific is about these servers being super rough. They have a crashing instability report option for PC from December 9th, 2022 on here still, but nothing distinct about, hey, Season 4 Reloaded is causing major server issues. We're looking into it, or we'll have an update for this soon. There's no mention of that anywhere on the Warzone side of things. And then on the multiplayer side of things, all we have again is that specific, hey, Xbox players have degraded performance here, not the fact that the entire game is still suffering from other new issues courtesy of the Season 4 Reloaded update on top of Xbox's specific, really unplayable server issues going on here. So quite frankly, at this point, it's something that has been such a common topic, update after update, year after year now. COD servers are not where they should be for a game of this magnitude, for a franchise that's this established, for a game that is making billions of dollars, right? We should have servers that are functioning, especially in times like these where, let's face it, COD does not have the player base right now that it had back in Cold War, back in MW 2019 and the launch of Warzone, right? We had server issues back then. They still weren't fantastic back then, but they weren't as prevalent. They weren't as common, as obvious as they are now, which is a major red flag in my opinion. So once again, I want to, throw this out there. Some action needs to happen on these COD servers. There is really no excuse at this point for the lack of server upgrades. It's been years that this has been an outcry from the community. It's been years of the games having issues like this with no noticeable distinct change or performance improvement in game. You might have some smoother servers for a couple of weeks at a time, but then another major update drops and you're back to lagging, packet loss, issues here and there, depending on which server or data center you're connecting to. It's just a wild roller coaster of server issue after server issue, and it's rough. And at this point, it is such a constant problem that we have to have more updates on this. There needs to be more communication about this, even if it's just simply providing, hey, we're aware of the increased, slow motion issues. We're aware of the increased server latency. We're aware of the increased packet loss. Simply saying, hey, we know this, we're working on it, rather than once every 10 days, hey, we've deployed some stuff we didn't tell you about until now. We're also going to work on some more stuff here and there. That's not, in my opinion, doing enough for how rough things are right now across the board. So it's my 2 cents on the matter, maybe more than 2 cents. I've been rambling for a bit, but hey, if you enjoyed the video, you want to get this topic out there, share it around a little bit more so it gets more attention on it. A like rating is always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel or you simply have not subscribed yet, I got you covered on a daily basis with news, updates, patch notes. If there's ever any server updates and they finally do get things sorted, this will be the first place you hear about it. So definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button to guarantee you're always up to date. But once again, thank you so much for tuning into the video. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.